I ended up going to college, and my dad was in the medical field, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go into the medical field. And everybody, going through college, they all said you gotta get a good degree, get your education, so you can get a job, you can get the benefits, and you can have a salary, and you can have stability, and all of those things.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, just kind of purely out of fear and not knowing totally what to do with my life, I chased the money. I was like, all right, well, I got to get a career that's got stability, and I've got to have, if I want to have a family and all these things, and I've got to be able to pay for that. That's expensive. Life can be costly. And I graduated and I ended up going into the medical field. So I was an orthopedic specialist and went to 2 years of specialized medical school and was working in the operating room doing total knees and hip replacements and craniomaxillofacial surgeries, making great money, but absolutely miserable.
Mm.
And I sat down with two of my buddies. We were at a restaurant, and I just said, wouldn't it be crazy if you could find one job that allowed you to do three things? And the three things were, what if you could do something that you were passionate about? So that's the first P. Second P is, what if you could provide for yourself in a way that was sufficient for you? And then third, what if that job could contribute to your purpose
Mm-hmm.
in life? Where every day you felt like you were doing something bigger than yourself. And I proposed that question to my two buddies, and they were like, they're like, dude, I don't think it exists. Like, I really don't. Like look at like a doctor. Okay, doctors making great money, but they're stressed out of their mind. They're always away from their family. Or look at a teacher. Teachers full of purpose and passion, but every summer they're looking for a new job. They're looking for something else so they can make ends meet.
Yeah.
Passion, provide, and purpose. I don't think you can find a job that allows you to do all three. And I had a mentor in college, and he shared with me a quote by Oscar Wilde. And the quote says this: to live is the rarest thing in the world. For most people, merely exist. And
Oh
that
my
is
God.
all. Like, to really, really live, not just exist. Most people honestly exist. You look at the stats on employment rates right now, and about 80 to 80%, 80 to 86% of, this is in America, of working adults in America hate what they do for a job. They're not fulfilled. They don't love it. It's the grind. They wake up every day. They do the same thing, rinse and repeat. You work the 9 to 5. You come home. You maybe watch a TV show. You make dinner. You go to bed. You maybe do some exercise. You get up. You do it again. And for some people that's okay, but for the majority of people, they're not fulfilled. They're stressed out. They're burnt out. They're frustrated. We call the midlife crisis, because they're just not doing what they want to be doing. They're not living. They're just existing.
Yes.
And my buddy said to me, he goes, man, what you're talking about is so rare. And it instantly triggered that quote. And I said, you mean living? And he goes, what are you talking about? And 2 weeks after that moment, I quit my job.
Oh wow.
And I burned all the ships completely and jumped into the world of entrepreneurship. And I started an organization called the Undercover Millennial Program. And it's kind of like Undercover Boss without the makeup. And I dived into the speaking world and became a professional full-time speaker. And I've traveled the world for the last 4 years full-time, living.
Wow.
And I honestly say that the day I quit my job was the day I started living. And it was in the pursuit of those three P's.
Wow, that is fantastic, and it's just so true what you're saying. It's so so true. Most people are just existing, right? And then
Yeah.
there's a point when you realize that you can actually live. I guess it's a bit of a privilege as well being able to do that, and I'm very aware of that. I'm very thankful that I have the chance to say I'm just gonna follow my dream and my call. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you have the privilege, it is like we use it, right? It's a bit of that too.
Yeah, I think people that are listening to this, they might be saying, well, I'm the person that's miserable and I'm stuck in a job and I don't know how to, you know, yeah, you guys were maybe single or you were young and you could pivot. And there's some people that are like, I feel stuck. I've got 4 kids and I'm in this job and I've got bills and we've got a mortgage and I've got mouths to feed. And it's easier said than done. And that is totally true. But I also believe that we can live a life by design, not by default. And that no matter where you're at and what your current situation is, we can still make small steps that allow us to still create a life worth living. And so much of that is to figure out, okay, what is it that pulls on your heartstrings? What would you do if money were not an option? Like if you were independently wealthy, like you didn't have to worry about money. What would you do? If you had 3 hours on a Saturday, what would you be doing? Who would you be doing it with? Who would you be spending your time with? What would be, what do you consume on YouTube? What do you love to just follow on Instagram? Like, what are the things that innately drive you and fulfill you to be a happier human? Take a moment and write those things down. Most people I have found, and I know this because I've interviewed thousands of college students, and I've asked people that are, they're going into dental hygiene, or they want to be a nurse, or they want to work in software, whatever it is. And I ask them, how many dental hygienists have you interviewed? Have you ever spent a day at the tech software company doing what you want to do, what you're spending so much time studying? Literally 90% of the answers I get are no, it just sounds cool.
Oh,
I don't know.
yes.
And it's like, what? Like, and that's why we find so many people that when they graduate, they get into this job where they go, oh my gosh, this is not what I expected. Or they're 2 years in and they're like, this is not what I had in mind. And then they're having to pivot. And so many people actually end up doing professionally something completely different than what they studied in university. And so my point is take a moment and give it some thought. Like literally design your life. Take the time to create the details. Get obsessive about the details of what a good life would look like. Then bring in the responsibilities of, okay, providing. How do I make a living? What do I need to do? What's my budget look like? What do I need to cut back? Maybe we don't watch Netflix anymore. Maybe we get rid of Disney Plus and we stop eating out every night so that I can figure out how to save a little bit more money that can maybe give us a cushion to allow me to dive in and experiment in a new form of living. It's a process that is dirty. It's not fun. It's not glamorous, but it is essential to living a life of significance, not just a life of success.